Greetings, peace, love, and light. I want to welcome you guys back to Age of Soul. Again, this is Brandon. Today, I want to talk about the terrestrial light seeds. Okay, we often hear about the star seeds, which would in some way be an extraterrestrial entity if its origins of physicality are not from this planet. And I'm not one who's from the train of thought that melanated beings are alien to Earth. In my God honest opinion, because of how well the environment suits us and how powerful it makes us if we spend enough time in it, I believe that we are native Earth beings, and that this is our home, and that this is where we originated, and we are directly connected to the elements here. So I don't really believe or get too much into the whole star seed concept for us. And to clarify, I don't think that only black people have power and purpose and destiny. I believe that all races have a lineage that go back to a pure human state where we all lived in our natural forms before we were tainted by some type of an outside seed or influence of some sort that changed the genetics and the culture on the planet. And a lot of us lost the old ways of how we used to live here. So I believe that the starseed concept does apply to some people, because I believe some beings' origin are from off planet in antiquity. But us as melanated people, I'm pretty certain that right here with Mama, this is home. I know a lot of y'all want to be Anunnakis and Sirius constellation aliens and stuff. And hey, if that's your paradigm, I'm not going to knock it. I'm just going to say I don't believe that. And I don't know. I feel you're not stepping into your power by putting yourself way off somewhere else that you never will see in your physical living life, while we're right here on the planet with all this power around us, and we're neglecting that because it's not associated with some concept that may be more romantic or more alluring. But I'm telling you, it's just as romantic and alluring to be a child of Mother Earth, right? Us being a carbon being, 666, it's 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. We are highly melanated, and those are the elements in which the majority of all material in the universe, even in this planet, though, especially on this planet, are made of. I feel that whatever we are the closest to, that's what we should draw our strength and power from, right? So into the terrestrial seeds, right? I believe that certain melanated beings are descendants of what we may call elementals or element gods or deities. And even those who aren't direct descendants, they can align with that frequency and take on characteristics and power of those particular energies, deities, or elementals, right? The Titans of Greek mythology, they were earthborn beings. The dragons are earthborn beings, and a lot of time we see them depicted as evil in a lot of folklore that comes out of Europe. But the dragon, as well as the Titan, are primordial beings that were here first before the invading force came here and started to implement their power on the planet and start making their changes. Before that, scientists will even tell you that human beings on average were 13 to 18 feet tall. You know, they were giants. We were giants. We were highly psychic beings. And we still have the capacity to tap into a lot of that power as we have, evolved and made our physical host more suitable for the world as it's changed. We've been more condensed. We're smaller, but we still have the same capacity to store energy. So in a way, it may line up with some divine plan because we're more efficient. Now there can be more of us. There can be a wider network, and when there's more of us, that means that we can have more intelligence as a hive mind when it comes to that point, when we are able to awaken our genes collectively and become reconnected, okay? If you look at, Hindu and some South Asian mythologies, you'll hear about the Naga people, the serpent race. And you have a lot of people who say, hey, the serpent race, they're evil, they're descendants of Cain and Seth, and the devil was a serpent and all that stuff. But you have to understand that the ensuing conflict, as depicted by mythology, is the serpent versus either the eagle or the phoenix. Now, what does that tell you? The serpent is a creature that dwells on the earth, on the ground, or in the water, not in the sky. Okay? And the bird or the eagle or the phoenix, its domain is the sky. So that conflict is something that occurred between beings that primarily existed in a way that had them identify with the sky or flying or being in the air and coming here, as opposed to us, black people, melanated people. We're associated with the serpent, or the dragon, which is earth energy. From here, the ocean, the rocks, the earth. That's a dragon, represents earth energy, or a serpent. And it's crazy how they flipped it all over on his head. The Bible even says that, oh, we'll bruise the head of the serpent. Oh, Satan, you old dragon. All this stuff about the dragon and the serpent that says that it's an evil concept and an evil entity, but it identifies directly back to our origin story. Just look at this, for instance, when it comes to black people or melanated people. You say that we have no connection to a serpent, right? Okay, have you looked at your skin closely? They're talking about the reptilian Anunnakis. Have you looked at your skin closely? Your skin is a refined version of scales. They're not as hard, but it still is basically scales. Your hands are partially webbed. That pink thing in the corner of your eye, that's a remnant of the mechanism that you see reptiles do when they close their eyes like that underwater, like an alligator. That's what that pink thing is. Now, all humans have that, again, even Caucasians and Asians, because, again, I'm not saying that melanated people are the only people that are native to Earth. I'm just saying we still have the purest genes that connects us, opposed to a lot of the other races who have lost their dominant melanin condition and composition within their body, because during this situation and the invasion, that's where they were most successful within those gene pools, and they bred within where they were most successful for, and it started to refine the process to create lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter versions of the same human races that we have today. But back then, all of us were much more melanated. All of us were situated physically to survive and thrive under a sun-fed world, right? To connect with the earth. And That's what I wanted to communicate, is that we are from here. We're not star seeds. We are earth seeds. We are the spring, the upspringing of life from the clay vessel, the dirt, the earth. You understand? Just like the grass. We sprung forth from it. When we die, our bodies decompose and it goes right back into the earth. We live on top of a bunch of dead beings who lived here. We live on the ancestors. Remember those titans I was talking about before? The world is made up of their body parts. Because the earth goes through different cycles over millions of years. And the original creations were more etheric. They didn't have physical bodies. And then the next one, they had partially physical bodies, kind of like if you want to look at it like a ghost, like you can see them, but they're not necessarily tangible. And then after that, they had a tangible body, but they were kind of transparent and luminescent. Then after that, they had a fully solid body, but we were still luminescent. And that was us at our finalized and perfected physical form before we were degraded to this deactivated carbon state that we're in right now. Because uh, all the other states that we in before were the highest levels of our carbon activation, but we had to refine it through physicality. And then once we did, we achieved that perfect state of physical and etheric all simultaneously. We mixed the yin and yang to become the perfectly illuminated human being, but we lost that. And that's what this is all about. The meditations, the melanin activation, the light codes. We're trying to gain energy from the sun in order to rebuild and repair our DNA and to strengthen our bodies and to activate dormant cells. You know what they call junk DNA, which is you have a higher percentage of junk DNA than you do the DNA that makes up your current state. All that's turned off. You have to look at your hair almost like the tungsten or the little wire inside of a light bulb. The thin little hair, when you put electricity to it, it illuminates. That's how we're supposed to look when we're in our final state. Our hair in coils, it's a conductor of electricity. We are bioelectric beings. We're fire beings or electric beings. We're supposed to be able to illuminate, utilize those energies to move things with our minds, to heal things, to help the nature grow. And that's us at our highest capacity. The terrestrial seeds, the earth seeds. And that's what we are, melanated people. And I'm getting to a point to where I'm gonna start encouraging people who are not necessarily black to start trying this and see if it works for you. Like, I'm not a racist person. I don't hate white people or Asians or anything like that at all. I feel that we all have been deceived. All of us, all the humans have been deceived, and there's been a divide and conquer campaign that's been going on since antiquity. And the victor writes the history. You understand? So the ones in the history are the myths that are at the bottom, that are the demons, that are the losers, the evil, the ones that were vanquished and thrown off into some fiery pit. That was us. But they won. So they controlled the narrative and they changed the perception of the melanated being on our planet and have the rest of you guys feel that we should be at the bottom of society when we're the closest remnant to the original state of the human being on this planet, and the best bet that we have to reawakening these genes and restoring the balance on the planet. Because once we awaken and we get into our divine position, then we're going to be able to help all you guys. The world won't be in a state of energetic chaos and decay. The battery center will be turned back on and all the cells will be fusion. And then there'll be a spark of energy that radiates and permeates the atmosphere of the planet. Again, scientists will tell you that the air of the planet back in antiquity, prehistory, was much more electrically charged, almost like a fog that permeated the atmosphere that was electrical. And that's been gone because we're not exuding that to add to the existing electromagnetic field of the planet. So I think I'm gonna cut it off here. I don't want the video to get too long. I'll come back with some more stuff. I'm gonna do some research, and I may do like a whole documentary going into the history of the Naga and the Serpent People. One thing I was looking into recently was Irish folklore. I was looking into the giants, the Fomorians. Fomorians. Look up the Fomorians. The Fomorians were a race of giants that were black skinned with 3 eyes. The king of the Fomorians was able to shoot a laser beam out of his third eye and disintegrate his enemies. All kind of craziness, man, that went on in the ancient past that they don't want us to know about. But we're greater than just what the perception is. And you just being you, not saying that you have to be floating around having sex, but you just being you, man, doing positive things is greatness. It's great. It's greatness already. But we're growing, we're striving, we're wanting to go further than we've gone before in our recent past and reconnect to our ancient past. It's very interesting. Krishna, that means the black. He means black, the black god. They painted him blue. And then they say, why does he have blue or dark or melanated skin? Oh, well, it's because blue is supposed to represent his state of enlightenment. His aura would have been blue, but instead of painting the aura, they just depicted it with his skin being blue. Or, oh no, he drunk this poison and he had to wrap a snake around the neck in order to stop the poison from killing him, and the poison turned his body blue. All these different excuses and stuff for why these divine beings are melanated, except they was black, cut and clear. My man probably had long dreadlocks in shape, and it just is what it is. I would want to encourage you to start doing some research on ancient history. All that stuff. It involves you. It involves everybody, but it definitely does involve you. And for our people.